I'm Luxcana from Luxury Gaming, and I'm here with...
Duckie?
And Monkey.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. So, how did we do today?
Today went all right. Day one didn't go so great, but I got to play some side events, played a lot of Villainous, actually, and did pretty well in those, so.
That's awesome. Okay, and what colors are we playing?
We are playing red-green. So this is what I played for the main event. So, red-green's a little spicy. We're calling the deck, I guess what, like
Christmas in July.
Yeah, Christmas in July. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So let's start us off. So we got 3 hidden coves. So this is a Bucky / Diablo deck. So naturally, like the tech from Green Steel is gonna sort of carry over from that. I've been on hidden coves for a pretty long time, but just like being able to bump yourself outside of range of steel, it hits a lot of nice breakpoints, and also in this deck specifically, it has a lot of different utility. Like we play a lot of things that give reckless, so you can give something reckless and then play a cove afterwards, and then they'll run into the cove, and then you can use your abilities to attack into it. And there's a lot of things that have payoffs for challenging and whatnot. 4 Buckies.
It's a staple.
Do we have to explain this card?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's really good. Your Bucky targets in this deck are Li Shang, Queen of Hearts, Mulan, and Tremaine. Am I missing any? Diablo. Duh. Diablo. Right.
Next card.
Yeah, very next card. But yeah, we're on 4 Buckies. So if you notice, we jumped from 1 to 2. There's not a lot of 1-drops in this deck, because 1-drops are kind of fake in this game, but also like it makes it so that you can't hit 6 consistently if you play a card every single turn afterwards.
So question, now do
Yes.
you feel like you're behind by missing a 1-drop?
So we actually make it up later on. So we're okay with like letting like the first couple lore go, and then we just slam on the brakes later on. And you'll see the cards that like help us stabilize.
That card is really important, especially against other Buckies.
Mm-hmm, exactly, as well too. Like your resources are super tight against other Bucky decks, so like you actually have to, every single card counts.
Got it.
And if you play a 1-drop, a lot of times it doesn't do anything. 4 Lumières. Okay, so this card is really interesting in terms of how it plays out in tournament, actually. So the reason why we have the Lumières is because we want to protect our Diablos from brawls, our Daisy Ducks from brawls as well too. And so the way that it works is like you play a Lumière and then you play Diablo, and if they go to brawl your Diablo, what happens is that they actually have to cast it on the Lumière instead. Like they can't take it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like what ends up happening is like you just discarded their brawl, and you have a free Diablo just like happening, and like if they don't have another brawl to follow up or whatever, it's just really, really bad for them. We also have other synergies with the Lumières as well too. We have Mulans that scale with the Lumières, as well as just like hitting breakpoints with like Queen of Hearts or some other things. Li Shang is another card as well too that has a lot of synergies, because like you pump the Li Shang up, now the Li Shang also gets an additional lore as well too. So like it just plays super well with this sort of like the synergy within the deck. We got 3 Mulans. So we're playing small Mulan, and this is a shift target for a big Mulan. Why we're playing this instead of morphs is because the 3 toughness really matters, and you can go like turn 2 Mulan, turn 3 brawl, and be able to kill something like a 1-drop Robin Hood or something like that. It's just the extra toughness really matters against steel, and steel is usually the matchup you want to play the Mulans anyways. So these are really, really much better, because like morph you never actually shift. And nobody actually respects these as well too. Like I had like Lux Ferrante, for example. I had a Mulan on board, and he just like swings everything out into my Mulan. I'm like, did you forget something? And he's just sitting there like flummoxed, not knowing what I'm talking about. I'm like, shift Mulan will get you here. You have to play around this card. And I proceeded to not hit him with that because I didn't have it in hand.
Now, question: would you not quest with this or attack with this if you want to shift with it, because you don't want it to like?
It depends. So you can play a lot of mind games with the card, actually. So one of the things you can do is you can quest with it, and you can pretend that you don't have the shift, and then later on hit him with it like afterwards. Or what you can do is you can hold it back and pretend you have the shift, and then they just can't attack. So just this card by itself, you can bluff this card very, very nicely. And if you're playing against somebody who's savvy, this card actually just stonewalls the whole entire offense. Like you don't even have to have the card, like the shift in hand. You just sit there and you just wait, and it does the job as well too, especially with people who are really, really good.
Got it.
So let's see. Medallion weights. This is a card that I think that a lot of decks probably should be playing because like this kind of feels like a magic mirror on like with like an inkable magic mirror with a cheaper cost. Like the +2 power is really relevant because you can use it to bust open like locations to hit right breakpoints. Also, just like being able to lead off with like one of these like crappy like sort of like things, and then following up this on turn 4 to be able to hit something for 3 is like really strong. So just in general, really good card advantage. It's a little slow, but like it'll get you there, and also it does pair well with Li Shang, like thematically as well as
of course,
Mulan and Mulan, right? And it pairs with the Mulan as well too. Anything that gives plus power always going to synergize with Mulan. So yeah, medallion weights really good limited card. I think good enough for constructors as well too. So signed contract, holy crap, these are crazy. So if you think about like how many songs are in each like deck. There's a lot of them. Like red purple plays what? Be King, Friends,
be prepared,
Be Prep, right? And sometimes Teeth as well too.
You're right.
And like these are cards that they have to play in this matchup because they have to grind you out, and you land one of these, and you know when they draw a card, you draw a card.
You're just replenishing your hand.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you land 2 of these, songs are basically dead in their hand a lot of the times as well too. And then when you're trying to go 1 for 1, it's just really bad. It's really good against blue as well too because blue has a lot of songs. Blue still has a lot of songs, and don't really play ways to get rid of these cards because like item hate is not that big right now. So
it's just the Aladdin that you have to kind of be.
It's a really strong tech choice, and I think that a lot more decks should be playing this card. Like these cards are actually really crazy. And I really hope that more people do play it. It's mostly just for like slower grindier decks. So like maybe if you're like more tempo-ish, like this is not as good. But if you want to sort of go for the long game, these are really
You
strong.
might be putting it on the map.
Hopefully.
It also combines with Diablo to lock out a lot of different plays.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Ursulas are pretty self-explanatory. So like even though they kind of clash with the signed contracts beforehand, just like being able to check the hand is always good. But also like in green steel matchup, this comes up a lot where you want to take an extra card out of the hand because they're tight on card economy in hand as well too. So like that extra card that they lose is really nice, and then it pairs with a lot of things that we have for challenging synergies, like the medallion rates, for example, and the Queen of Hearts. So like these just become extra like fodder afterwards.
Let's go back on those. I think they just finished up. You're good.
Cool. So, Diablo. This card's crazy. Like, when I saw this card, it's spoiled. I just like wanted to build around it because it has my 3 favorite words.
Draw a card.
Draw a card, right? I really like stacks cards as well too. This reads like a permissive stacks piece as well too. I come from Magic. Stacks or floodgates, if you come from Yu-Gi-Oh, are effects that like prevent your opponents from playing the game in a specific way. And I read this card as a card that stops your opponent from being able to draw extra cards to sort of like out-resource you. So this deck is like designed to try and protect this Diablo as much as possible, or use it as a win condition in late game as well too. The discard package, the Bucky, is all about supporting this Diablo in the first place. The Lumiere support the Diablo from protecting it from brawl. Your Bucky's discarding protects it from removal spells as well too. It's just like this is what makes the whole entire deck work a lot of the times. Cool. We talked a little bit about this before. We have 3 Li Shangs. We kind of wanted it at 4, but we didn't have enough slots, I think, right? Yeah. We couldn't get the 4th one in, but like they're crazy in multiples. They also help you push for a game as well too, because this deck has a hard time closing out games. So not only does it trigger Buckies, it's really good fodder for being able to attack a challenge into something, as well as finishing the game in late game.
This deck has 60 cards?
Yeah, 60 cards.
Okay.
Yep.
Are you guys not big on having 61? We like to keep it in the 60 range.
Yeah, it's because like you really want to open Diablos. You really want to open a lot of like, for example, the consistency behind like opening like Lumiere plus Diablo is like really important in certain matchups. So you want to reduce that variance.
Are you mulliganing for Lumiere and Diablo every single time, or does it dependent?
It depends on the matchup, and typically I like to try and find it in the dark just in case we play against red purple or like any red deck in general. But like if you open Lumiere against say Steel, you just like want to cry.
Any 2-drop like Bucky is what you're looking for, plus Diablo.
Yeah, generally speaking. 4 brawls. Pretty self-explanatory. These are really bad against red purple, but pretty good against everything else. Like against blue, it hits Flower Shams. Against against green steel. It hits Diablos. Yeah, not much else to cover with the brawls. Like they're just pretty strong.
It's a staple as well.
Yes, it's a staple. Yeah, it's really, really good. You have to play this card. While, okay, so this is interesting. This is actually a card that we actually wanted at 2. After playing a bunch, because so a lot of times when you're playing in a tournament with best of 2, what happens is they don't know what the heck you're doing. So do you know what they do? They just kind of just like play a bunch of things and try and quest it for a whole bunch. And this stops them from being able to do that. So if you open this on the draw, a lot of times they'll just like play a thing, quest, play a thing, quest. You're like, okay, I have Lyle. I'm just going to heal like 4 of it back, build yourself a little bit of a cushion, and then you just like win any grind game afterwards because they can't push you out with that aggression. Also, the reckless ability is super relevant as well too, because you can turn Diablos into like, you know, little missiles that have to hit your own guys. You can also reckless Faversham and Tomato as well too, so you make it so they can't quest. I hit Chernobog's followers as well too with it, so they can't quest as well. You can use this against aggro decks like to turn Cursed Merfolks into like having to run into your things as well. So just like all in all, a lot of really good utility, insane multiples. Like if you draw 2 of these, a lot of times aggro decks just cannot win the game ever. So wish we ran 2. Probably.
You think you're going to change your deck for next time to add 2?
Well, the deck kind of dies a little bit because Bucky's gone. Okay. But there's adjustments that we can make that still make the deck like pretty viable. And like one of the main things about this deck as well too is it's also pretty like difficult to play as well too. And one of the things we were finding is that best of 2, playing this deck was really hard in the dark because a lot of these cards are super reactive. Okay, 2 Wildcats. These are for the item matchups. And also for flutes as well too. These do come up against flutes. But
opposing Diablo.
Yeah. This is about creating a critical mass of things that like your opponents have to deal with threat-wise. So in the blue-red matchup or the blue-steel matchup, they have to kill these or else they start farming their items. It also outs the lucky dime as well too, so they don't actually have a clock on you.
And it's also evasive, so it's not like that they can just kill it that easily.
Yeah.
Like they need to possibly use the Diablo to kill it in some of these harder matchups.
Yeah, and it's a janky Diablo answer as well too. Like it does the job. It's not great, but like it does the job. Mm-hmm. 2 Fishhook. So Fishhooks like work really, really nicely with our next card, which is Daisy Duck. So like you can go like Daisy Duck on 4, play the Fishhook and give it evasive, and then quest in, and then your Daisy Duck survives, and then you can just keep ripping cards out of their hand. As the synergies with Maui as well too that we're playing. Also just really good at cracking locations as well too. This is really good against like red purple, for example. You do have to find the time to be able to develop this card, but like when you do develop this card, like their queen's castles become dead. Your stuff can actually like chip in and like one of the issues with a lot of these cards is like they actually have to sit back and they can't crash in, and this lets you help push with those particular cards and let them survive. It also lets you trade up against like blue steel with like Hogsworths, Tamatoas. Like this is all super duper relevant. So like really good utility card. We tried it at 3, didn't really like it at 3, so we bumped it down to 2. 3 Daisy Ducks. Okay, she's crazy. I don't know why Green Steel's not playing this card, but like this card is actually nuts. Because even though it doesn't like discard on ETB, like if you can ever untap with this Daisy Duck, it's just absolutely insane.
What does ETB stand for?
Enter the battlefield, or like enter spell. Yeah. So one of the cool things about this card as well too is like you quest with this card, and your opponent can choose to attack into it, but they have to have their thing tapped. And so if that's the case, you can just like run it over and like get a lot of our like effects going, like Mulan or like Queen of Hearts or like Medallion Weights. Like this opens the door up for you to be able to challenge you into that things as well too. This is how this deck can trade super well, is because you're doing a lot of small things to make your opponents have to quest in or have to do specific actions so that you can actually pull off something like a Mulan. Because like if Mulan not supported, it doesn't do anything.
Turn 5 Fishhook is also what makes this card work.
Yeah, like this is like like you have to support the Daisy Duck as well too. Like they have to complement each other as well too. Okay, some more spiciness. So Nomari, this card does not get played a lot, but the reason why we're playing this is these are actually sub-ins for Medusa. So Medusa it's only really good in the green steel matchup, but the problem is that if you are playing against green steel, getting to 6 is incredibly difficult. Like you can't actually hit 6 very consistently. So you want to be able to like basically like develop out a Dragonfire essentially early on and be able to pop their beasts, because like this deck actually has a huge issue with with dealing with Beast. Like Beast is a huge issue. That's why the green steel matchup is actually really bad for this deck. I'm on 3. Monkey was on 2 and 1 B prep. So this is like a difference that we played. We would in the future, like if we played this deck again, like if we had to do over again, this would probably be another Lyle. Just Lyle has been super duper crazy.
How many Uninkables do you guys play?
That would be, I want to say 9.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
not that cloggy.
No, it's not cloggy at all. And also playing this on 4, a lot of times you can just go like turn 5 Queen of Hearts and just like smash into something, and it being a 3/2 is just like it's good enough a lot of times because like a lot of the things in this format are really small simply because they have good effects attached to them.
Got it.
So like you can get a lot of value out of this. You can also go like turn 4 Namari and then turn 5 Fishhook into a like a Diablo or something like that. You can just get people and they just like don't expect something like that. Queen of Hearts. Holy heck, this card is crazy. There's one game where I had a Queen of Hearts on board and a whole bunch of just like bad creatures on board, like an Ursula or whatever, right? And then they just like went, okay, there's only one Queen of Hearts. I can probably attack him with a lot of my like 3 power guys or whatever. And I play second Queen of Hearts. I'll attack everything in. I draw 6 cards. Pass.
Yeah.
Oh, also discard off of Queen of Hearts as well too, because it is also a Floodborn. So just like a lot of like source of like really good card advantage. If you notice, like as a general theme in the deck, a lot of cards generate value over time.
Yes.
So they all like either draw cards, get you additional value. They're either 2 for 1 or like sort of stabilize you on life in some sort of aspect. So just like honestly, incredibly strong. Like we've been really happy with this card. Draws you tons and tons of cards. Maui's. We're only on 3 right now. Obviously, like they have synergies with the Fishhook in this deck, but also it's only really good in like some matchups, right?
We're really good against steel.
And I guess like
Sometimes red.
red purple as well too.
No, red blue.
Oh, red blue, and also sometimes red purple as well too, because of being able to hit into Queen's Castle is always going to be a good thing. This deck is really good against Queen's Castle because we have a lot of ways to modulate our power as a surprise. So Maui's pretty self-explanatory. It's one of the few cards that are actually like really played in other decks.
Yeah.
So Mulan. Mulan's very interesting. So Mulan's actually like really tricky to set up. We talked a little bit about it before, but you actually have to use a little bit of like, you have to finagle a little bit to make this card work. So what this does is like when you shift it, it gets plus power, and when you challenge into something, you can basically flame strike to other like characters dealing the same amount of damage to something else. This is your B prep in the deck. This is one of the reasons why we don't play B prep in this deck is because this does the job a lot of times, and a lot of times we were expecting a lot of people wouldn't play around this card. Like I had a game with like Luxcana, for example, who just like did not play around this card.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, I did mention it earlier, but in general, pretty good. You want this card against steel as well too. You don't want this against red because like against red they just brawl it or Medusa, and it's just like you wasted 6 ink in order to do basically nothing. But against steel though, you play this and they go like, wait, I can't attack because you have a Fishhook and a medallion weights. Like you can make this like a billion power. Like I've been able to kill a Tamatoa through a Cogsworth resist using Mulan. Like it's been pretty crazy. So this card's like pretty nice. 2 Tremaines. We don't want too many unequables. Like we tried 3 Tremaines, 4 Tremaines. It's just like drawing multiples of these is really bad. But also it is a nice Floodborn that gets ETB effect and gets you value. Like it does. It is inherently a 2-for-1. So
why Tremaine over Medusa?
Okay, so Medusa's really only good against Beast decks, or like Beast and Diablo specifically. So like against Green Steel, it is good, but however, it's really bad in literally every other matchup because it doesn't actually come into play. Like, sure, you can kill a Flaversham with like a Medusa, but like that's as good as it's going to get. Whereas like Tremaine, like you can hit Tamatoas in certain matchups. You can hit a lot of like giant fatties that you normally don't have good outs to. So and it's also a Floodborn as well too, and also quest for 2. And with Li Shang plus Lumiere, you can quest in for 3 as well too. So like it hits that breakpoint of 4. So like you can do a lot of really interesting stuff. Finally, John Silver's. Absolutely crazy. This is one of the other pieces that like help you stabilize, like especially when you're playing on the draw or against aggressive decks. You slam 2 of these and like your opponent's in pain, in a lot of pain. Like I think people have slept on this card and forgotten about this card quite a bit because like 5/5 is insanely big in this format. There's a lot of things that are just smaller than this particular card. You play this and like they don't have aggressive pressure against you anymore, and you can also use it to set up your other cards, and you're just generating value over time. It's just another card that just is more value the more this sticks on the board. So you can also pair it with official as well too, and you can like quest in, give it reckless, and then give it evasive as well too, and so that people can't challenge into it afterwards. Or you can just like play this plus a cove, and then force your opponent to challenge into your cove, and then you can just like blow them out of the water with like a Mulan or something like that afterwards. Like there's just so many things that you can do with it. It's very, very tricky, very, very hard to play with, but like it's insane. I tried to cut it down to 2. This guy wouldn't let me. It's just card's crazy. Like it's really, really crazy. Yeah, that's it for the deck profile. Just in general, like hardest matchups are green steel, and then you go pretty even against like red purple. It's like red purple is pretty good. Blue steel can be a little tricky as well too, right? You found that out during the event. We thought it was much better than what we thought it was, but like it's actually still pretty bad. Amber steel's pretty good, I think. What do you think? Differently?
They can high roll you still.
Okay, so it's amber steel. Like there's variants involved, right? And then blue red's pretty decent as well too. Like the daisies, yeah, very good. The daisies,
very good red duck.
yeah,
red decks.
red decks in general we're pretty good against because like we make the brawls really useless and it's really, really funny. So
Do you guys want to shout out your social medias?
What social medias?
Okay.
We don't exist anymore.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
shout outs to anything.
just in general, yeah, like thanks to the 20 Lore crew. Thank you, Luxury Gaming as well too. Labyrinth guys have been awesome as well too. I'm not gonna name everybody individually, but just like in general, like thanks for everybody who's like supported us through like this process. It's been really, really fun and like had a good time. Anything else?
Everyone who's come up to us and said, "Man, your deck is super nice. It's really spicy. Wow, that's so cool." It's been really cool to see that reception.
It's been awesome. So thank you.
Okay. Thanks, guys.